Hi, good afternoon. So, in our earlier exciting video, we introduced the concept of the phrase, and we saw that the phrase is an interesting level of analysis or exercise in a grammar class. We were conservative in the types of phrases that we introduced in the class, and we said that these are the phrases that you will find in any grammar class. I'm mindful of the syntax class, syntax books, where there are so many types of phrases like tense phrase, or that is TP, or conjunction phrase, and all sort of things. But here we are interested in phrases as they will help us to give us communicative competence or effectiveness. And so these are the 5 types of phrases that we saw. These I hope you remember them: the noun phrase, the verb phrase, the adjective phrase, the adverb phrase, and the prepositional phrase. These are also alternatively referred to as the nominal phrase, the adjectival phrase, the adverbial phrase, and the prepositional phrase. The name is not a problem. You can use any of these. However, I have observed that sometimes some books have a tendency of confusing the adverbial phrase with the prepositional phrase, which is wrong. The adverbial phrase is different from the prepositional phrase. And so, if I should throw a little light on that before we move on, I should say that when we say a phrase is an adverbial phrase, we are saying that the important word in that phrase is an adverb. I hope that is clear. And so that is distinct from the prepositional phrase. For the prepositional phrase, we are saying that the phrase begins with a preposition. Simple. It begins with a preposition, and then it has a prepositional complement following it. So you get to see that the two are different. The confusion stems from the fact that the prepositional phrase can perform an adverbial function. And so we will say that the prepositional phrase, and I said can, it isn't always, can be an adverbial, meaning that it is behaving like an adverb. It is doing what adverbs do. And so as a phrase type, the adverbial phrase is different from the prepositional phrase. Maybe we'll have time to talk about that more. Then we also said that phrase analysis is engaged at 3 levels. We have the level where you may be required to identify the types of phrases in a sentence or in a text. Then you may be also required to analyze the structure of the phrase or the internal constituents of the phrase. Then finally, you may be required to discuss the grammatical function of the phrases. So in this class, I'm going to take the first one, identifying the phrases, identification. How do we identify a phrase? How do we say that a particular structure in a sentence is a noun phrase? A particular structure in the sentence is a verb phrase or a prepositional phrase. And this is very simple. It is simple, as we saw in class. It's a simple, straightforward exercise, but you meet it a lot of times in the grammar exams under such questions as identify the phrase types in the sentences below, determine the types of phrases underlined in the sentences, or determine the phrase types or the types of phrases in the sentences below and analyze their internal structure. Of course, the last one has an added layer of analysis which says the internal structure. But for phrase identification, these are the types of questions that you usually find in grammar exercises. In the SHS, as you remember, they may ask you to identify the grammatical name of the underlying structure. And so you will say this is a prepositional phrase, or this is a nominal phrase or a noun phrase, or this is an adjectival phrase. That is it, as simple as that. So now, how do you determine that a phrase is a noun phrase or an adjective phrase or a prepositional phrase? And this one is an interesting exercise. It's not difficult at all. But let me first of all make it more practical. Let me make it more practical by saying that the logic in the analysis, in the identification, is that if you pick a sentence, you can fragment the sentence into logical phrasal units. I take it again. If you take a sentence, you can group the words into phrasal units, in units of meaningful units. You can group the words into meaningful units. Let's take the following sentences, for example. Our French teacher has given us several books. Our French teacher has given us several books. Again, my friends may have been invited for the concert. Or the main argument should be presented quite frankly. Now, if we take the first sentence, we can see that we are talking about our French teacher. We are not talking about our French teacher has. Okay, so in that sentence, the groups that we can identify are our French teacher. It communicates a thought, doesn't it? Then has given, something is done, and that will communicate a thought. Us. Then we have several books. So in that sentence, we have how many units? Our French teacher 1, has given 2, us 3, several books 4. Take the second one. My friends may have been invited for the concert. We have my friends 1, may have been invited 2, for the concert 3. Finally, in the main argument should be presented quite frankly, we have the main argument 1 should be presented 2, quite frankly 3. Now, when I go through it, I don't know what you see, but it does appear that there is some logic in the way I grouped the words into phrases. Did you see it? Let me explain it. So if we take the first sentence where we have a French teacher and identify that as a phrase, what it means is that we are interested in one word. We are interested in teacher. But if you say teacher has given us, it's vague. So we want it to be more explicit. Then we add something to it. Then we say French teacher. But English requires that nouns will take determiners or article to make the expressions more specific. So we put our in front. So we have our French teacher. So we get to see the concept of the phrase says that we have one main word. Then other words are modifying that one main word, or the other words are explaining or specifying that one main word. And that is the concept we use in analyzing the phrase. So has given is not has given us, because we get to see that it is has and given. There is a given. That is what is important to us. Given. There was an act. There was something done. That was given. Then we put has to show that it was done in the past and it continues now. Then some people received it as. So we can analyze it and see that each of the phrase units constitutes a meaningful combination of words. So that is just the beginning. That is something to make you think about when we are talking about the phrase. Now, how do you identify the phrases? I did it so simply, and that is it. It's not difficult, but we have principles, and that first of all, we need to identify the units. If the question says identify the phrase units, then you are going to look out to see how many phrases are there, and that is a question you can engage yourself in, or you can find in a grammar exam. But if phrases are underlined and you are being asked to identify them, that makes it straightforward. It makes it's easy, because then you have it and you're looking at the units to say whether this is a noun phrase or this is an adverb phrase or the rest. Now, how we do it? First, we are interested in the main word in the structure. So if you can break it up into phrasal units like we did with the sentences, then you are going to identify what is the main word in each of the phrases you've identified. That is the first strategy. What is the main word? Later, we will refer to the main word as the head. So what is the head of the phrase? So in the sentence we saw, our French teacher, we are not interested in the French. We are not saying our French has given us. No. We are not interested in our. We are interested in somebody, and that somebody has done something. And who is that somebody we are interested in? Teacher. So our French teacher has teacher as the main word. And so we are saying that there is a main word, and that main word helps us to tell the type of phrase we are dealing with. We also look at the words that come with the main word. We call them the modifiers. Nouns normally come with certain words, and so we say that noun phrases come with certain specific modifiers. So what words come with the main word help us to identify the type of phrase we are dealing with. Then one useful principle, which is very easy, is the principle of substitution. Apart from the head, the main word, we also can use the types of words that are associated with the main word to determine the phrase type. And what it means is that noun phrases or nouns normally move with certain words. And so if we know those words that normally move with nouns, then we are able to say that that structure is a noun phrase. Then the final one, which is very important and very simple, is substitution. That a phrase can be replaced by its kind. So a noun phrase can be replaced by a noun or a pronoun. An adjective phrase can be replaced by an adjective. A verb phrase can be replaced by a verb. Then an adverbial phrase can be replaced by an adverb. The prepositional phrase, however, cannot be replaced by a single unit. And that is where we want to, end it. The fact, and remember it, we will pick it up there and talk about it again, that all the phrases can be replaced by a single unit except the prepositional phrase.